welcome to the 3-part video course on how to learn languages with content and in context. I am thrilled to have you here. So first of all, thanks for clicking. In this mini video course, I will be guiding you to learn languages through general media content such as books, series, films, and connecting with other people and being social in language learning. So you will be getting a new video each week until you complete the series, and hopefully you will put these things on practice each week as well. So we're gonna be working on specific skills while we read, while we watch, and while we connect. Today we're gonna be talking about reading material and how we can make the most out of it and how to do it in a way that feels just natural. All of these tips work very well for any reading material, being articles, blogs, anything that you can read. But I do encourage people to go for books. Books are a great way to learn because they have a beginning, a middle, and an end, which means that you will see how much you progress. This is project-based learning, which means that you will be working on the same thing for a period of time. So the whole idea of project-based learning is to work on a specific topic, book, or type of learning and just see how much you can progress. I like this because you can easily look back and see how you did before and how you're doing now, so you can have some control on how you're learning. The great thing about project-based learning is that it can be monitored by a tutor, or you can do it with a language buddy, so it's not a lonely thing to do. It can be very social and you can learn a lot from doing this with someone else. So we are going to start right away with the tips, and just so you know, right now I am reading this book. It might look very familiar. It's in Italian. I'm just getting started and I'm just applying all of these tips to this book. You will be seeing more of this on my YouTube channel, exactly how I did it, which will be complementary to this video. First of all, where you can get books. Every time I travel, I get a book with me, even if I don't speak the language. For example, I got this when I was in Berlin. I've been learning German for just like a few months, so this is too advanced for me. Anyway, I got it because when I want to read it, I will get it. Another great option is to get your Kindle. On Amazon, you can find many different books in other languages, especially the Harry Potter series. You can find it on Amazon in, like, I think I even found it in Japanese. Of course, it depends on the country, so you'll have to do some digging. My best ever advice to find books that are in your target language, but that you cannot get in the country that you live in, is to find a bookstore from the country where the language is spoken. I did this with Dutch. I bought a Harry Potter book from the website Bookhandel, which is a bookstore I found on Belgium, and they have a lot of ebooks on it that I can purchase without going to the country. Besides books, you have blogs, very easy to find. It's all over the internet. News outlets, also very easy to find. You just have to put news and the name of the country and it will appear. I will recommend to write news in language that you're learning. So for example, if you're learning in Spanish, you can write Noticias España and so on, and you will find the content that you're looking for. You can always get comics. I also like to get comics, and these ones you can find also online. It's a great way to do it. If you like the physical thing, you can also order them on Amazon. And then I always recommend to read on Twitter and Instagram, like really read the captions, because these social media platforms can help you dig in not only in the language, but also in the culture surrounding the language, which, as you already know, it's very important to be involved in. So what to read according to your level? This is a question I get a lot. Like, a lot of people don't like reading kids' books when they're beginners, and I understand that because it's not of their interest. So I will never tell you to read something that is not of your interest. If what you like tends to be with an overcomplicated language, I would recommend to take it by parts. So let's say, for example, you're reading an article on politics because you're into politics. I will recommend that instead of reading the whole article, if you're a beginner, to read just paragraph by paragraph and really like study it and try to learn it. And that's the best way to do it, to do with small chunks. So always start small and then go bigger. If you're a total completely beginner and you want to learn in a more natural way by reading, then I will absolutely recommend you to check out Twitter, because like, oh my gosh, if I tell you how much I've learned with Twitter, you'll be surprised. It's small chunks of text, it's very related to culture, it's very simple, and it's normal vocabulary. It's never gonna be too complicated, so go for Twitter. Plus, you can follow accounts of your interest and you will always find something that you enjoy reading. So getting a daily dose of reading, it's gonna help you a lot, also into getting confidence to go for bigger books like this thick thing. I started small with Italian and I've gone my way up to this. This is a challenge that I'm taking, and I see it as that, but also as the most fun I'm gonna have while learning a language. So now let's talk about the vocabulary. I don't have an example right here, but I always keep inside my books a piece of paper with vocabulary, or I keep it in a separate notebook where I just write down vocabulary. And what I write is the vocab, the translation if I need it, and then the phrase that was used into, so I understand that better. And talking about very common words, I would recommend to mark down. I write like little stars next to it, and this is very useful because if it shows up a lot in the book, it means that it will probably show up a lot in real life talk and conversation. Now let's talk about grammar, and this is my number one way to learn grammar because I don't like to do it otherwise. And what I do is that I actually take and look for patterns within my book. And I pay special attention to the endings of the words, the suffixes and the prefixes in the beginning of the word, and the verbs and the type of word that they are. This is very, very, very important to me because that's the way I get my grammar, and that's the way I learn in general, because that's the only way I've known how to learn. That's the way I actually learn my mother tongue, and it's what helps me learn the best. Some examples of patterns and things that I will find interesting is like, let's say this example in Spanish. Spanish is my mother tongue, but this is a very great example. When a word ends in ción, it means that it's a substantive. It means, or an object. It means that it's a word that has a total meaning. Some other examples are like when, for example, in English, when a word begins with this, like this respect, I like to know the meaning of that this, because if it appears again another word, I will understand what it means. And the patterns and special patterns like the ending of the verbs, like with the conjugations, but also like in German we have this like meine and then you have deine, so they are both written almost the same. They're very similar. They come in the phrases in the same position, which might mean for me that have a very similar meaning. So I will look up to that, and that's how I learn grammar with books. So I mostly learn by grammar while reading. I don't learn it so much when I watch TV or when I talk to people. I reinforce it then, but I learn it when I read it the most. So look very, very carefully. Keep your notebook next to you if that's useful, and write down similar words that you might think have similar meanings, and then look them up once you're done with your reading. An extra tip: there are two different ways to read in a foreign language that we recommend. It's extensive reading, where you will read and read and read and try to get the most context out of it, or very like in detail, very like focused reading. Now, sentence mining, it's a very interesting concept. I'm gonna talk a little bit about it, but you can look for more examples in the internet. Sentence mining is like grabbing the structure of a sentence and then rewriting it, changing the little things. So for example, you have the word I have a cat, and then you rewrite it and change it to I have a dog. So it's the same structure, but then you're changing, you know, the object in this case. And then I can rewrite it to you have a bird, and so on. I will make slight changes but keep the structure of the sentence. So what you can do while you read is to either find sentences with the same structure, like I have been here and then I have been there. You will recognize it's the same structure, so you can write it down and see the similarities. Or you can find one sentence that you find interesting and rewrite it in very different ways, and then have someone correct you. I like to do this second option where you just rewrite a lot of words, because it takes the passive learning into active learning, and I will do it once I'm done with reading to reinforce what I've learned. But also I like it because sometimes when you're reading things like science fiction or fantasy, just fiction in general, sometimes you cannot relate that to real life, so you might need to, you know, find ways to use that structure into a real life situation. So the dragons are coming, you can change maybe to the ducks are coming, or the friends are coming, and so on, so on. So you'll make it more natural to convert it into phrases that you can use in real life. Now, there are two things that you can do to convert that passive learning into active learning, and that will be either writing a summary every time you finish a chapter and have someone correct you. It could be a tutor, a friend, someone in the language community, or a person on italki notebook or Hi Native. You can also record your voice and also talking about a little summary, or as we said before, at a book club or with a friend that is reading the same book. You can both practice the language. When you're writing a summary or recording yourself talking about a summary of a chapter or the book you're reading, I would recommend you to keep it short so people actually care to correct it, and it is a nice experience both for the person that is helping you and yourself. In the next module, we will talk about how to learn languages while watching a series or a film. And stay tuned, because I'm gonna be giving you a tip on pronunciation that is gonna change the way you learn how to speak forever. It's gonna really improve your speaking, I guarantee you that. So thank you so much for watching this video. If you have any questions, feel free to contact me, and I will see you soon. Bye bye!